All right, for today's explainer, we're diving into something really chilling. We're headed to this tiny coastal town in Spain to unpack a local legend. It's a story about love, a really brutal betrayal, and, you guessed it, a ghost who just will not rest.
Yeah, that question right there, that's really the core of this whole story. Just try to imagine it. Your wedding day, supposed to be the happiest day of your life, turning into, well, your funeral. That tragic twist is the start of a haunting that's held this little town in its grip for more than 100 years.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in this picture-perfect Spanish town called Sala Lucia. And our main guy, he's a young student who has absolutely no clue what he's about to stumble into.
You know, Sala Lucia is one of those places with two faces. During the day, it's gorgeous, like straight off a postcard. But the second the sun goes down, this weird, unsettling chill just takes over. And this is where we meet Mateo Guerrero. He's 19, an architecture student from Madrid, and he's just there to study the old buildings. Or so he thinks.
And right away, Mateo picks up on his first clue that something's off. I mean, think about it. In a town this beautiful, why would everyone literally run inside and lock their doors the moment it gets dark? The silence on those streets, it just didn't feel right. It was creepy.
So Mateo's doing his thing, studying the old church, and that work, maybe inevitably, leads him right to its old cemetery. And it's there, wandering among all the tombstones, that he finds the very first real piece of this town's dark secret.
Just picture finding this. A wedding arch, a symbol of starting a new life together, but it's broken. And it's in a cemetery, a place of endings. Mateo sees these dried, dead flowers hanging off it and notices the soil underneath is way darker than everywhere else. It's just this really strange, lonely monument sitting right in the middle of all these graves.
And right here, this is where everything changes. It's like his visit to that weird grave woke something up. Because that exact night, he's back in his room at the guest house, and his quiet evening of research gets interrupted.
The first thing is a sound. He hears this faint, dragging noise coming from the empty street below. It's not loud, but in the total, dead silence of a Sala Lucia night, there's no way you could miss it.
So he goes to the window, looks out, and he sees it, just for a second, a flicker of white way down at the end of the street. It looks like a woman in a long white dress just standing there in the pitch black.
And just like that, before he can even really register what he's looking at, she's gone, vanished. Now, Mateo, he tries to brush it off, a trick of the light, his eyes playing games with him. But that feeling of being watched, it doesn't go away. He doesn't realize it yet, but he's been seen.
Of course, Mateo's curiosity gets the best of him. I mean, wouldn't yours? The next night, he actually follows this trail of muddy footprints he finds, and they lead him right back to the cemetery, back to that same lonely wedding arch. But this time, he is not alone.
She's there, just standing there, waiting. And when she turns to face him, Mateo gets a good look. Her skin is ghostly white, her eyes are just terrifying, and her face is stained with these streaks that look like she's been crying tears of blood. But then, he sees the detail that makes his blood run cold. Her feet. They aren't touching the ground.
Okay, so Mateo, absolutely terrified, runs out of there. He goes straight to the old guest house caretaker and just confronts him, and the old man finally spills the town's dark secret. It's the legend of Isabella Romero. See, back in 1889, she was supposed to get married right there, under that arch. But her groom, a guy named Javier, he just never showed. Ran off with another woman. So Isabella waited, all night, in the cold, until sunrise when she just collapsed. The townspeople said she died of a broken heart, and they buried her right on that spot. Ever since then, they say her ghost is still there, still waiting for the groom who abandoned her.
So now Mateo knows the story, and you'd think that would help, but nope. The haunting gets worse, way worse. It's not some distant thing in a graveyard anymore. This is personal now, and it's coming for him.
Mateo is desperate, so he does what a lot of people would do in this situation. He goes to the local priest. And after he explains everything that's been happening, the priest looks at him and asks one simple, chilling question. And this one question changes everything. And boom, Mateo remembers. While he was at the cemetery, he picked up a couple of those dried flowers from the arch just as a weird souvenir. And the second he says that, the priest's face just goes white. He tells Mateo that by taking those flowers, he might have just sent a signal to Isabella's spirit, a signal that her groom has finally come back for her. The priest's advice is short and not sweet.
Leave Sala Lucia. Now. Immediately. But it's already too late. That night, things escalate with this terrifying methodical precision. First, he hears footsteps in the hall, and they stop right outside his door. Then, he sees a shadow pass under the door. Then, the doorknob starts to slowly, silently turn. It stops, and for a second, there's just silence. And then, he glances at his window, and she's there, just staring in at him with those awful eyes.
Okay, that's it. Mateo knows he has to get out. He is frantically throwing his stuff into a bag, not even caring what he grabs. The only thing on his mind is escape, getting away from Sala Lucia and from the ghost who thinks he's her groom.
But it's not going to be that easy. It's like the town itself, or maybe the ghost, doesn't want him to leave. As he's rushing around, the sky outside just turns black, and this sudden, violent storm just rolls in out of nowhere. Of course, the lights flicker once, twice, and then they're out. Total darkness. Now, Mateo is trapped. The only sound is the storm raging outside, or at least he thinks it is. But he can feel it, that gut instinct. He is definitely not alone in that room. He's just frozen there in the dark. You can imagine his heart is just pounding in his chest. And then, a huge crack of lightning flashes across the sky, and for one single terrifying second, it illuminates the entire room. And in that blinding flash of light, he sees her. She's not at the window anymore. She's not outside the door. She is in the room with him, standing right in front of him, so close he could reach out and touch her. The caretaker heard the screams and came running, but by the time he got there, it was too late. Mateo was just gone. They didn't find his body until hours later. He was back in the cemetery, right under that broken wedding arch, covered from head to toe in that same dark, wet mud from Isabella's grave.
So, the story in Sala Lucia is that the dead bride finally got her groom, but that's not really the end of it, is it? It leaves you with this really unsettling final question. Maybe her wait for a groom is over, but is she done waiting? Who's going to be the next poor soul to wander into that cemetery, and who will she mistake for him next?